All right, welcome back in for another episode of the Ball Boys podcast, episode I believe 38. Dylan, Mehl, Nolan Foster coming to you on a Friday. We missed Tuesday, scheduling, life happens, so we didn't get to go over some stuff. So we might have a little additional thoughts when previewing the games, but let's just hop right into it. Thursday night football, Bengals, Ravens. The Ravens win this one 34-20. And you could tell we're at the middle point of the season, right? When all these injuries start piling up.
Mhm.
We had, what was it? We had Lamar get hurt. We had Mark Andrews get hurt. We had Joe Burrow get hurt. We had Odell Beckham Jr. get hurt. Lamar stayed in the game. Andrews looks like it could be kind of serious. Joe Burrow, it came out. It's a sprained wrist. Odell, I think he'll be all right. It was towards the end of the game, and then he just kind of took his pads off and said, "Fuck it, I'm not going back out there." So you got to respect that. But ultimately, man, we can talk about injuries in a second. But Baltimore leaves this game 8-3. In my opinion, they lock down the AFC North here as long as they stay healthy. Um, Pittsburgh 6-3, but Pittsburgh's been outgained in every game. I feel like they're kind of fraudulent.
Mhm.
The Cleveland Browns losing Deshaun Watson. Now they're going to DTR. I don't see that ending well. And the Bengals 5-5.
I just saw that Harbaugh says that Andrews probably has a season-ending ankle injury.
Damn, that is brutal. Isaiah Likely, one of the best tight end backups in
Yeah,
football. But, when we start talking about what the Baltimore Ravens hopes were on the season to win a Super Bowl, a guy like Andrews, that could matter when we get to the AFC Championship, the Super Bowl, etc. So hopefully, maybe an MRI will say otherwise, but time will tell there. Um, but anyways, even without Mark Andrews, I still think the AFC North is Baltimore's for the taking at this point. That defense is very, very good. Lamar Jackson had a hell of a passing night. Odell had over 100 receiving yards. The Ravens were clicking despite some of the injuries. And Cincinnati, who I viewed as their biggest competition going into the game, now falls to 5-5. Joe Burrow dealing with another injury this season. T. Higgins dealing with injuries. He's banged up, and Baltimore has beaten them twice now. It's just going to be a grind in the AFC for Cincinnati to even get in the playoffs, let alone compete for this division. So Baltimore is in a really, really solid spot after tonight.
yeah, bro. I mean, I wish. I mean, so does everybody else, but it could have been an awesome game. And I honestly think the Bengals, I think, would have won that game if everything stayed to plan. But Ravens got the dub. I wish I kind of took Ravens money line right after Burrow got kind of hurt because I heard it was in the plus hundreds, and I was like, okay, but Ravens fan excited. Andrews getting hurt is a big deal. Obviously, they'll be able to get some guys in there now, but playoff time, he's a huge, huge get for Lamar. Come January, they're gonna stop Lamar from running, and Andrews is his security blanket. So that's a big loss, obviously. But they got the dub. I don't want to count out the Steelers yet because they
I
have
just think they're the
Baltimore.
most fraudulent
Yeah,
winning
for
team.
sure, for sure. But I just every time you count them out, they're kind of just still there, and they have Baltimore's number. So if they could beat Baltimore again and kind of stay close to them, like you never know. So, but great game by the Ravens, and if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan, tough man, tough breaks. It's tough with injuries. It sucks, but hopefully the Burrow news isn't too bad, and hopefully you go back maybe if not next week, the week after. So.
Yeah, I mean, in my estimation, as long as number 8 is upright for Baltimore, they have this division on lock. I think with the Andrews injury, we're going to see a lot more Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
Obviously, Isaiah likely will be the tight end, but we saw it even in this game. Zay Flowers was getting a lot of the underneath stuff. Keaton Mitchell could be more involved in the passing
Hopefully.
game. The Gus Bus is just a touchdown machine
So,
at this point.
yeah.
So yeah, we have an exciting week of football ahead though. that I want to hop into here. And we were just talking about these two teams. I want to start with the Steelers and the Browns. Again, if you're new to the pod, we go through every game and then we give our best bets at the end. We kind of just talk more about the NFL storylines to begin with. All timestamps should be in the description. But yeah, the 6-3 Steelers travel to Cleveland to take on the 6-3 Browns. Cleveland favored by a point despite the Deshaun Watson injury. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think we're going to see two very, very solid defenses here. Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt, two Defensive Player of the Year candidates we talked about on last week's episode. It is going to be an ugly, ugly game. Like I just said, the Steelers get outgained in every game. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson out there, quarterback for the
I don't know why
Browns.
they didn't go with PJ, bro.
Dude, yeah, especially because they don't have their own first-round pick. Because my initial thought was, oh, they're trying to lose games. And then I was like, wait a minute, the Texans have their pick. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if PJ Walker was starting the second half of this football game based on what we saw last time from DTR. But listen, he's the more dynamic football player. Maybe they think what they've seen in practice, they want to throw him back out there again. If he hits, he definitely raises their ceiling higher than PJ Walker. And, you have a 6-3 cushion. Maybe that's the thought process. For Cleveland, the Nick Chubb injury earlier in the year against the Steelers team, now the Deshaun Watson injury. They had all the pieces, man. 6-3 despite injuries, a loaded defensive line, a loaded offensive line. On my own YouTube channel, the day before the Watson injury, I put out a video saying the AFC North is the Cleveland Browns for the taking, and let me tell the views on that video quadrupled after the Watson news of just people commenting this aged poorly, which it definitely did. But the college kids, they were high on the Browns. Absolutely devastating. You felt like the Browns had the makings of a run, especially as the weather gets colder in those trenches football. And then, like you mentioned, for Pittsburgh, man, they just keep finding ways to win. Kenny Pickett is a fourth quarter magician for this team. He sucks for the first three quarters, and then the fourth, he goes out there and balls. Again, low scoring, grind it out, AFC North game. That's how I view it.
Yeah, man, it sucks. I forgot about, we got Chubb, Watson, and they're just the Browns, bro. That franchise is cursed. It's tough, man, like you said. But low key, I really think if I was gonna put this in my parlay, and I think I still am, based off what I'm looking at, and I think I'm gonna take the Browns, bro. I think with that defense against Pickett, they could get it done. They played without Watson before. This is not their first rodeo. So I think, if as long as they control the ball, don't turn over the ball, fumbles, picks, like they can do that, I think they can win. But like you said, low scoring. But I'm curious to see how Cleveland kind of plays with the Watson news. Maybe if they play more determined after that.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And, with Cincinnati losing tonight and the Burrow injury, one, if not both of these teams could still get into the AFC playoffs, man.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback isn't the strength for the Browns this season, like you mentioned, and the Steelers can keep on doing what they're doing. The 2-8 Arizona Cardinals travel to Houston to take on the 5-4 Texans. The Texans have quickly become talk of the town in the NFL news. CJ Stroud seems to be running away with the Offensive Rookie of the Year and has now, for me, entered MVP conversations. Obviously, a loss to Bryce Young and the Panthers and a 5-4 record kind of keeps him from the top, but he's kind of entered the room of maybe I will be in here at the end of the season. They go and win that division, take it from Jacksonville. We'll have to have a serious conversation about CJ Stroud for MVP. And as well, Kyler Murray last week came back, and now the Cardinals no longer have the number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of interesting what's next here. The Cardinals actually do have the Texans first round pick. So again, a Cardinals win does improve a draft pick for them. So we'll get to see two very talented quarterbacks go at it. DeAndre Hopkins, his return to Houston in this game. I'm sorry, it's not. DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee. It's late at night.
No,
It's late at night.
I thought the same thing. I was like, wait a second, Houston.
I was
Yeah,
like,
sounds
yeah,
good, but
wait, no. there's definitely going to be somebody that's watching like, these guys don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah. We
Hey,
both
we know
just
about the
worked
Bills,
2
bro.
8-hour shifts, and it is midnight. Give us a break about DeAndre Hopkins' location. He's not relevant in terms of winning football games right now. Still love you, though, Nuke. But it should be a fun game to watch. I got to tell you, man, we're Eagles fans, but I'm rooting for Houston every week. I want to see, and we picked Jacksonville, and I like Trevor Lawrence, but how could you not just root for the rookie and a franchise that
Hey,
was dealt a shitty
I
hand that wasn't their fault with the Deshaun Watson injury to bounce back and make it to the playoffs?
yeah, I will say though, I mean, we got the D'Amico Ryans kind of
Mm-hmm.
loyalty, so
Yeah.
it's not totally out of the blue. We could root for him,
I want to see Houston versus Miami in a playoff game so desperately because
So
that's a game that Tua could fumble.
I would definitely, I think, take the Texans in that right now, like dead ass. I think I would. I don't know if it's because it's late at night or I don't know, but like I think I would. But no, talking about the game itself, it's gonna be an awesome game. Like you mentioned, Kyler looked great last week. He's still a little rusty, but he got the dub. And Texans, that I hammered the shit out of. I think it was 6.5 against the Bengals last weekend. So this week, it could go either way. A lot of people are high on the Texans now that they have a little win streak. They got the Stroud news, so I wouldn't go gung ho on
The
going
Texans are
crazy.
4.5-point favorites. So,
Yeah,
I think it's the right line. I don't think that
mm,
Vegas has swayed too much. I do think you could get a lot of people to bite, and then it's like a 27-24 game.
yeah,
Kyler Murray's still one of a kind out there. We talk about Bryce Young not succeeding, and a lot of that has to do with his stature, and Kyler Murray's small as well, but the athleticism and speed that Kyler brings, and you saw it in that first game post ACL. He was still running around and he looked like Kyler Murray.
crazy.
And there's still a future there in Arizona if the team wants to build around him. And
Mhm.
maybe getting some wins will build some confidence for next season. So, don't be shocked if the Cardinals are out there trying to build something going forward while still, at the end of the year, they'll probably still have a top 10, top 5 pick and the Texans pick. So, you could have two potentially top 15 picks depending on how the rest of the season plays out for Houston, especially if you beat them this week. Then we got an AFC South game. The 3-6 Titans travel to Jacksonville to take on the 6-3 Jags. Jags favored by 7. They got absolutely obliterated last week. I picked them +3, and dude, I knew by the end of the first half, I was like, well, 0-1
I
on
had
best
I had a
bets.
feeling like it just the Niners were healthy coming off that bye, and
Yeah, you know,
it was a
it's
tough
tough.
read though.
It's
Could have
tough
went
when
either way.
you're watching a matchup of Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, Trevor at home, and you're getting points
Yeah.
with him. It's tough to knock in. I wouldn't change my. I mean, going back, of course, now that I know the result, I guess I would change it, but I won't change the logic I
Yeah,
used behind it going
yeah, for
forward. That'll
sure.
be right more times than it's not. So, can Jacksonville bounce back? Um, the one thing that I kind of want to ask you about, because you're more of like the fantasy guy, is Calvin Ridley in this in that game where the game script was essentially passing the whole time because they were behind. Not only does he only find himself with 2 receptions, but he only finds himself with 3 targets. And the Jacksonville offense looked terrible. At a certain point, there's got to be a look in the mirror of maybe we should get the ball to our one, right? Like, it's not like they were succeeding without him, and it's like,
Mhm.
well, like they were bad and they just weren't utilizing him. And we've seen for weeks that San Francisco's secondary isn't good. And I want to give props to San Francisco when we get to them. That front line was disgusting.
Mhm.
But in terms of the Jags, if this is going to be an offense that looks to compete in the AFC playoffs, it's got to be more than just Christian Kirk.
Yeah, bro. I mean, for me especially, I had really high standards for Trevor Lawrence going into this year.
Yeah,
Same year with
MVP
Dougie
for
P,
us.
MVP type. Dougie P was there. Calvin Ridley's here. They got Strange out of Penn State, another weapon for him. And they look horrible, man. They've had some highs, but the lows are super low. And I saw, I think it was a couple of days ago, their O line is, I think, the worst in the league, rushing and passing. So that's a huge disadvantage for any quarterback, you know.
Yeah.
But regarding Ridley, I don't know if he's a one anymore, man. I don't know if him being out of the league kind of just ruined that. But
I
Christian Kirk
just
looks like the guy, and Zay Jones. I think he got in trouble with something, so I don't know if he'll be back at all. And I saw the numbers with and without him, and without him, they just for some reason they just can't.
well, they don't have another outside threat, so other
Yeah,
defenses can really scheme against Ridley. I just think when you pay a guy to be your one, and they pay Kirk well as well, so
Mhm.
no discredit to him there, but that's a guy that other wide receiver ones that are true wide receiver ones in the NFL, whether it's Chase or Jefferson or Tyreek, if they had the first half that Calvin Ridley had in that game, you would have seen two or three like screens scripted them just trying to get them in rhythm, and you just didn't see it with Ridley.
It's insane. And a lot of people invested a high third round pick or even second, some people, you know, and he's having a horrible year. So hopefully, me and you know, we're in the same boat. Hopefully, he can pick it up and hopefully the
Yeah,
Jacks.
I think this is a good bounce back opportunity for Jacksonville.
Hopefully.
Tennessee at 3-6, I feel like they're kind of looking ahead.
Hmm.
Ryan Tannehill requested a release, I believe I
Yeah.
saw today.
I think,
So,
I think it was true. Yeah. And it was
we'll
crazy.
see if that gets granted. It probably will. I'd imagine Tannehill could go play for the Jets or
Yeah. I,
um, something. There's other teams out there. Maybe Cleveland, if this weekend doesn't
yeah.
go the way they would have hoped. So there's
Yeah.
other opportunities for Tannehill. Let's move forward. Raiders, Dolphins, 5-5 Raiders, 6-3 Dolphins. Miami, 13.5-point favorites at home. The Raiders come in hot though on a 2-game
Yeah.
win streak. New head coach, new culture.
Yeah.
It's you kind of like what you're seeing out of the Raiders, and the victory cigars. This team's got that Vegas Raiders swag to it that it desperately was lacking under
Mhm.
Josh McDaniels. And then you got Miami, right? I mean, they are what they are. A high-powered offense. Tyreek, Waddle, H back this week.
Mhm.
So Raiders defense, watch out. Raiders offense, be ready to try and match. It'll be exciting to see, and I think you know there's not too much to take away from this game unless the Raiders win. But I expect Miami to win, and it's going to be, Miami beats another 500 or worse team. But I do think, you know, we'll get to Buffalo in a second, and you can take your victory lap. It's a little whiles on the line, but you know, Miami's in the driver's seat when it comes to the AFC East.
Yeah.
So
If Miami blows this somehow, I don't know how.
they have to win this game, right? Like these become the must-win games at
Well,
this
I'm
point in the
talking about
season at
division.
home. But right, this is how they'd blow
Yeah.
it though,
Yeah.
losing games like this. Must-win game, you're at home, 14-point favorites against a team who's, got a quarterback situation that's not great. Meanwhile, you're a Super Bowl contending team in that locker room. They got to believe that these are the games you win.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I think it was the Panthers. I think that was the one game I picked them. I think it was like 14 and a half spread dogs. But I don't know, man. I think the Raiders might cover this sneakily. And if I'm a Dolphins better, like I'd say I get some points. I'd be like 10 and a half or so. I think
Yeah,
that.
it feels like a prime teaser spot.
Yeah, yeah. So, but hey, man, like you mentioned, I call him A Chain, but he's coming back this week, and it's a huge get, bro, for fantasy and just in real life because he
Dude's explosive.
time at the time he was the top running back in the league, rookie or veteran, bro, and he brings a huge help for this Dolphins team. You know, Mostert is an amazing running back, but he's old. You know, he's getting banged up, and they need some help to really bolster that because Jeff Wilson's not really doing that as much as he did last year. So huge get for him. Waddle's healthy, coming off the bye and then at home too. So, you know, it should be a cool game for, you know, the avid watcher.
Yeah, for sure. A game that probably won't be that cool. Cowboys Panthers. Dallas 6-3 travels to Carolina 1-8. Dallas 10.5-point favorites. Listen, man, Dallas beats up on these bad teams. If the weather's bad, maybe Carolina's got a shot to cover, but Dallas is motivated, man. We saw what they did to the Giants. They're chasing Philly, and if you're going to chase Philly, you got to win those games. I don't have much analysis, man. I'd be flabbergasted if the Cowboys lost this game.
I have a sneaky feeling this game's going to be a lot closer than people
Dude,
expect.
there's no way.
I'm telling you right now. Okay, yes, last week they know how the Giants play. They're division rival. They're gonna be pumped.
Dallas is guaranteed to win by a touchdown.
This is on the road at Carol. I'm telling you, I just have a sneaky weird feeling. Frank just got the offensive play call duties. You know, this game's huge for them. I'm not saying Carolina's gonna win, but I think it might be closer than a lot.
You're putting Dallas on upset alert.
Yeah, 100%.
That's not co-signed, folks. Let's move forward. Bears, Lions, 3-7 Bears, 7-2 Lions. Could see Justin Fields back this weekend. I think so. Not quite sure. Detroit 7.5-point favorites, coming off of a 40-point performance versus the Chargers.
Yeah.
Listen, again, Detroit is in a good spot to be the 1 seed in the NFC. Philly's got a tough road ahead. Detroit does not. These are games you got to lock down and win. I'd be shocked if they didn't. I'm excited to see more Montgomery, Gibbs, see how that split works out. Amon-Ra, Laporta. Detroit is a class above Chicago. If Justin Fields plays, great. It'll be cool to see his talent out there. But again, not a game that I have much analysis for. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's tough because I don't know, man. Like, when I look at these two teams, you're like, but the Lions, they are playing very well. But this Bears team, Fields is coming back, and I wouldn't count them out. The spread, I think, is a little too much for me. Maybe taking the Bears in that, but it's a divisional game, and I know last year they played a great head-to-head game. I think it was like week 15, 14, something late in the season. That was a really good game. But hey, man, anything's possible week to week, and I think it should be closer than people expect.
Yeah. A battle of two teams where whoever loses, I would say their playoff hopes are dead. 4-5 Chargers, 3-6 Packers. That's the difference between the AFC and the NFC right there, where I'm saying that whoever loses their playoff hopes are dead, right?
Have you seen the rumor, Chargers rumor?
What's the rumor?
With the coach who they might get?
I have seen multiple. I've seen Jim Harbaugh and I've seen Bill Belichick.
Yeah, Belichick.
So Dan Orlovsky was on somewhere, and he said today that Belichick and the Patriots have essentially already agreed after the season to mutually part ways, and Belichick already has his next team lined up where he's going to be GM and coach. And so people are speculating Chargers. People are also speculating Washington. So something there. The Chargers just don't spend money on the coach, but maybe they're getting like a 2-for-1 bargain deal.
For me, I think this is, if they do get Belichick, I think it'd be a total Chargers meltdown. Like, they expect things.
If Belichick gives all the offensive reins to Kellen Moore.
We'll see. Yeah,
I don't hate it if that's the plan, because Belichick will get the most out of that defense.
Yeah.
But we could talk about that in the offseason. For this game, the Chargers have to win, right? It's right, like Herbert versus Jordan Love, Chargers season on the line. Like, at a certain point, if the Chargers lose this game, we're going to have to start really taking a look at who Justin Herbert is.
Yeah.
Unless the defense lets up 40 again.
Yeah,
like, last week, Justin
Herbert
played right. And that was the Lions, and you kind of get a pass for losing to the Lions, a 7-2 team now. But if you lose to the 3-6 Packers with Jordan Love.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know if we could blame the coach for all of that. So I expect the Chargers to win. Giants, Commanders, 2-8 Giants, 4-6 Commanders. Again, we're at that middle point of the season where seasons are decided. If the Commanders can't win this game, season's probably over. They're 9-point favorites though against Tommy DeVito. So I feel like every Giants game is going to look roughly the same going forward. It's
Mhm.
just going to be a manhandling, but DeVito's going to keep balling, and there's going to be some backdoor covers. Don't be
Yeah.
shocked if this is one of them. This is a game I'm excited to see. Buccaneers 4-5 take on the Niners 6-3.
Okay.
San Fran is 11.5-point favorites. Tampa, man, they're right up in there for that NFC South division. Baker's working his ass off because if he don't win it, he probably doesn't have a job next year.
Yeah.
Mike Evans playing for a contract. So, the defense is out there trying under Bowles. So they're all out there kind of fighting for their jobs. San Francisco, we saw what they did last week. Is that who they are? Or is it because they were against the worst offensive line in football, like you said? We're going to kind of get more of the sample here.
Mhm.
Again, I'm going to get called a hater for this. I didn't think Brock Purdy played a good game versus
Mhm.
Jacksonville. You could read me the box score all you want.
Yeah.
That first touchdown pass to Ayuk, 9 times out of 10 is an interception if the safety is paying attention. um, I just I think Baker's better than him, man. uh, you can fight me on it, whatever.
Hey,
Call me a hater. I don't really care. The Niners have an Avengers squad on offense and a Justice League squad on defense now. They'll probably win the game, but 11.5, that's a lot of points for a very frisky fighting Buccaneers team. It's just a game that I'm excited to have my eye on, and I'll be rooting for Tampa Bay. I'm not hiding it.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely the spreads I think a little too much for me. So you're probably good on that. But I don't know, man. I think the Niners are at home. If it's in Tampa, I'd be more likely that maybe Tampa could pull it off. But I think they had a huge win last week, the Niners, and getting that team healthy. Like
At
you
six
saw
and three,
last,
though, they got to fight every week,
yeah.
especially with Seattle also
But if
6-3.
Eagles fans, I'm gonna root for the Bucks to win, but I just think the Niners they got too much and they're just healthy, so I think they should be all right.
Yeah, now we got a game that you're probably dying to talk about. The 4-5 Jets take on the 5-5 Buffalo Bills, man. Oh, Buffalo. If only we were. I was so mad that we didn't get to talk about this Tuesday. That was
Mhm.
like the one thing that I was like, damn, I wish we could have gotten up here. Um, well, first off, in the best bets, you took Buffalo minus 7.5, and I tried to warn you. I said I can't trust that team to win right now by a touchdown against a cooking Broncos team. I didn't think Denver had a shot to win the game, to be honest, but here we are. The NFL.
Mhm.
Ken Dorsey out at OC. Trayvon Diggs tweeting away. Stephon Diggs insists it wasn't him. I actually believe him. I don't I don't think that's how Stephon carries business. I think we've very much so seen Stephon be in the face of Josh Allen, be in the face of Sean McDermott, and be very clear about how he feels. So I don't think he would send Trayvon to go tweet. I just think both guys got big mouths, and Trayvon was letting his go on Twitter
Mhm.
fingers. And it is what it is. He's not necessarily wrong about everything he said. Um, I've been saying it for weeks. I'll say it again. McDermott's the problem here, man.
Yeah.
You watch Josh Allen play. We've seen him under Dayball. When there's a good offensive mind there, he knows what he's doing. Someone needs to fix Josh Allen mentally. And I don't know when this happened for him, but he plays every drive, man, like it's
It's his last
touchdown or bust.
one.
Dude, the turnovers that he has are
Mhm.
because he's not willing to let a drive end. Like you are not going to get points on every drive in the NFL, let alone in the end zone. And
It's
sometimes it's better to punt the football away and have good field position for your defense than compromise yourself. And
mhm.
that's what happened in this game again. The Bills should have won this football game, but they gave Denver optimal field position multiple times. And you know, everybody that watches the game will focus on the end where Josh Allen led the touchdown drive, but then the defense gave up the field goal. But, you know, the game's played in the full 60 minutes, and Josh Allen handed Denver opportunity after opportunity. And that's why, Trayvon saying what he's saying about him. That's why the OC was fired, not the DC. Um, I is Joe Brady going to be better? Maybe. I think they need an offensive-minded head coach. I think, we were just talking about Jim Harbaugh before. He could really go fix this team up. It's just, I really don't know how there's not somebody in that room that has told Josh Allen, like, it's all right to take the sack on third down. It's all right to throw it away. We'll get him next time. And, maybe some of that is on Diggs, where Allen feels so pressured from everywhere. But, at a certain point, you're the quarterback and you're going to face that pressure. And you've been in the league for a while now. This isn't your first time. And I feel bad for Bills fans because the pieces are there to be better than 5-5. I don't think the pieces are there to win a Super Bowl. I've never believed in Gabe Davis. It takes a while for the tight end to develop in Kincaid. On offense, you have two elite players. It's Allen and Diggs, and then there's some guys. The defense suffered some really bad injuries. So again, I didn't think this was their year, but they should be better than this.
Yeah, and it's funny you say what you said about Josh Allen, because even without throwing, he takes so many unnecessary hits, tries to hurdle. Like, he just doesn't have like the right IQ, and I think it's because of coaching. Like, he doesn't have that offensive-minded coach or even a quarterback coach to
Dude, when
really.
Dayball was there,
Yeah, that's when
he was in MVP talks.
That's when he was cooking, stuff was happening. And then, like, obviously he left and he probably forgot a lot of the stuff he was like trying to learn and whatnot. So if you're a Bills fan, I feel bad, but I don't, because you guys put it on yourselves. So good luck to y'all. But hey, man, the season's not over. Maybe Joe Brady gets the team back where it's supposed to be. I'd be surprised, but we'll find out. They're a good team. The Bills are a good team, but they are hurt on defense. But they can definitely make the playoffs. They're definitely not out of it. But based off what I saw on Monday, it was wild watching that, because yes, Denver has a decent defense, but like you mentioned, there was I think it was like at least 4 times I was watching that, and like I saw the Broncos start at like the 40-yard line. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what
Well,
in the
they're just poorly coached, Buffalo,
yeah,
too.
and yes, and it's McDermott. I mean, we mentioned that the whole off season, and like, you can't win a Super Bowl with a defensive coach. It just doesn't work anymore,
You
because
can, but you have to have the right
you need
OC
a perfect
or
team for him.
a way better mindset quarterback. Like we watched Brady win with Belichick all those years
Yeah,
because of where Brady's IQ was at.
yeah, you need like a perfect setup. Like, it's very
Allen's isn't there.
no, and they're playing the Jets. I'm very, very curious to see how this.
Dude, if they lose this game, I don't think they'll make the playoffs if they lose this game. Because we
No,
talked
yeah,
about their schedule and how tough it is
if
down the
they
road.
lose this, because this would be the second loss to the Jets, so they're not going to pass the Jets probably. And then they got that hard schedule, but that Jets defense, bro, they've been putting on a show this whole year, and they're licking their chops. They're like, yo, if we could beat Josh Allen, and they're really gonna be screwed after this. So, hey, man, it's gonna be a fun watch, I think, and I will be tuned in.
After this week, Bills have on the road at Philly, on the road at Kansas City, hosting Dallas, on the road at the Chargers, hosting New England, on the road at Miami. I counted like 2 wins in that schedule. they're in a bad spot,
Good
Buffalo.
luck.
Here's what I'll say. Lastly, on them, they need to have an offensive coordinator on the sideline who can refocus Josh Allen. Having Ken Dorsey up there, Dayball used to be on the sidelines and he was throwing out motherfucker this and motherfucker that, and it was focusing. And that's. Do you remember Stephon Diggs in the playoff game?
Yeah.
What he said, his words to Josh Allen were focus. And
fucking need it.
he didn't. But this is why Stephon is frustrated.
Mhm.
So Seahawks Rams. Seahawks 6-3. Rams 3-6. Get Stafford back again. Rams must win situation here. Seattle on the road. It feels a little trappy. Seattle only 1 point favorites in a
Yeah,
pick'em game. I think people are going to be all over Seattle. It feels like the trap game of the weekend for me.
yeah, I'm definitely staying away. I could definitely see the Rams winning that at home. So we'll see. It should be hey,
I think that'll be the fun game in
yeah,
the
those
4 o'clock
games
slate, like high
usually they're
scoring.
pretty good. The Rams Seahawks games.
That'll be like because there's only 3 4 o'clock games. Buccaneers Niners, I could see that being lower. Jets Bills could
Mhm.
definitely see that being lower. Seahawks Rams, I could see a little shootout vibe to it.
Facts.
Dude, these Sunday night football games, and listen, this one will be fun. Um, I mean, maybe not this week. There wasn't anything too much better. Um, Vikings Broncos, man, Josh Dobbs, Russell Wilson on
Yeah,
prime time is just it's an interesting spot to be in
compelling.
2023. Can Josh
Compelling.
Dobbs keep it up though? Like there's some interest in it, right? Like I
Hey,
think the Vikings
we were talking some mad
locked their
shit.
playoff spot.
We were
I
talking
think
mad shit about Josh Dobbs, and hey, he's
Hey,
been on.
listen, nobody called it. Okay, nobody but Josh Dobbs probably called this. Okay, so I don't feel bad for us to be like Josh Dobbs wasn't going to get it done because I don't. Nobody thought he was going to get it done, and the Browns definitely wish they had him right now, and
Facts.
they could have had him. But listen, man, the Vikings 6-4, and they beat Atlanta and New Orleans. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. And listen, I think the Broncos could very well win this game and get to 500 and then be in a better spot than the Buffalo Bills after week 10. So, we counted the Broncos out after the 70-point performance that the Dolphins put on them. Sometimes teams have bad weeks, and that was the worst of it, but this will be a fun game.
Yeah. Sure.
I do think it feels more must win for Denver. Uh, in Denver, Mile High,
Mm-hmm.
November night game, going to be cold. I I feel like this is Denver's for the taking, and if Denver gets into the playoffs, I think Sean Payton deserves a victory lap on us and everybody else who was like, yeah, that team's cooked
Yeah.
because
No.
that was everybody said it.
Yeah. No. Russ is playing great. I'm not sure if you've seen his stats, but he's been playing a lot better than people were giving him crap for at the beginning of the year. Give credit to Sean Payton. Give credit to the offense.
Yeah,
And also, too, man, like that, the defense is going ham, and Javonte Williams, definitely coming around for fantasy purposes. I think he's holding the bulk of the carries, like 80% the last 3-4 weeks, and that's the recipe to success. Control the game, control the Barack, give him a lot of carries, and keep Russ's turnovers to a minimal stance.
yeah,
But that Sutton catch was freaking crazy.
and
I
that
was
was a crazy throw by Rust.
Yeah,
I mean,
that whole
like
play
both parts of the play were
that
insane.
was uh that was top tier. So I give him props for that.
Yeah, Colin Coward always famously says like, give the rookie quarterbacks till Thanksgiving, and I'll tell you what you got. Hey man, give Sean Payton until Thanksgiving to figure out this team, and
Facts.
we'll see what he's got. Could have the team at 5-5, but the game that everybody's looking forward to this week has got to be the Monday Night Football game, man. The 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles travel to Kansas City to take on the 7-2 Chiefs. And the biggest storyline going into it is, of course,
Taylor
this
Swift.
weekend, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's parents are going to meet at the game. Colin Coward said he has Eagles winning 34-6 once he heard about this. Dude, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I kind of brought it up as a joke topic that I thought was kind of funny. But now I don't know if I'm joking when I ask, is Travis Kelce and this Taylor Swift thing becoming just a little too much of a distraction for this team? I think we're going to find out Monday, man. Travis Kelce was in Argentina. The video of him and Taylor goes around. And, do what you want on your bye week. I'm sure plenty of guys travel to different countries. I'm not crapping on Travis there. Just now Taylor's going to be at the game. Her parents going to be at the game. Now it's everybody knows her parents at the game. And what are you thinking going in? I just think there's a lot of focus outside of football for a team who is Super Bowl worthy, and it's the Chiefs. And until they show that it's a problem, I'm not going to call it one. But I'm kind of like looking over and just keeping an eye on how that's all going to play out versus a Philadelphia Eagles team who will be highly motivated to win this game and very clear cut has had one goal all season and they've been locked in on it. And for me, what solidified it was, after the Dallas game, Jalen had tweaked his knee and they ask him about it. And dude, he's just perfect for the city of Philadelphia. He says, I'll do anything for this city. And it's just, dude, it was just perfect, man. And the phone lock screen of him at this, there is a clear cut focus for the Eagles, and it is getting back to the Super Bowl and winning it. And there's just distractions for the Chiefs. You got Kelsey and Swift and the parents and yada yada coming, and then you got Mahomes and his wife doing the Skims ad, and there's people. There's just a lot of drama that's not football related with this team, and I just wonder how much can keep piling up before it starts to affect something on the field. And maybe their answer is they got the best quarterback in the league in Mahomes, a best coach in the league in Andy Reid, a top, 3 GM in Veach, a really class act organization, and the outside noise doesn't come in and they're still the Chiefs. I'm not ruling that out. I'm not even trying to say that I don't think that that's the likely outcome. But when it is a battle of two titans like this, it gets maximized, man. I'm just keeping my eye on it. And Philly's underdogs in this game. Kansas City favored by 2.5. In terms of NFL implications, I do worry about how the Eagles are going to guard Travis Kelce. They've struggled against the tight end all year. I worry about how the Eagles are going to guard the motion on the goal line that just completely fucked them all Super Bowl. Obviously, you worry about Jalen's knee. Obviously, the brace came off, but it's still something to worry about. No Goddard, so a lack of a weapon there. For Kansas City, I worry about the lack of wide receivers. Does it get to a point where the Eagles could just throw Byard and Cunningham on Kelsey and say, beat us with somebody else? Because you can't run the ball. So Sky Moore and Rashee Rice better be ready to step it up. And, hey, are we in store for the best Monday Night Football game since Rams-Chiefs? That's where my head's at.
Yeah, man. I think the biggest factor of this game, I think he's going to play a huge factor, is our man, the better Kelsey, Jason Kelsey. I think he's. I can't wait to see what he says that Sunday night with the team. I think they have their team meetings and stuff, and I think he's gonna have a lot to say about this Travis Kelsey thing, Taylor Swift thing, Super Bowl rematch. It's in Arrowhead. They want to see the team win. It's gonna be highly motivated, and I think they're gonna really play well. I think this is a statement game for the Eagles. Like you mentioned too, man. Like the Chiefs, yes, they have a great defense this year, but their offense just isn't in sync yet. And when it comes to playoffs, maybe that they're there. Maybe it's January, they're more locked in. But I just think, like you mentioned, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. And for the Eagles, I think the biggest factor for them is they have a lot of trouble getting off the field on third downs. And if they could do that against Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes early on, that's the key to victory. And I think they do get that done. And hey, man, a lot of people think, I don't want to say a double-digit win, but it could. I just think the Eagles are just a better team, and it's gonna be interesting to watch because they're both off the bye, and it reads awesome off of that. But I just think that they have so much prepared, and they've circled this game since the beginning of the year, and I think the Eagles just are here to win.
I'd be pretty surprised if it was different than a one-score game. Either way, if I'm being honest, I'm really interested to see how well the Eagles move the ball against this Chiefs defense because it's the story of the team this year. They are a defense-first football team. Um, you know, we watched the Chiefs offense sputter out against Miami. We know what can happen, but the defense,
Mhm.
in my opinion, won them the game. Um, so
But I
I
think
I'm just if the Eagles can move the ball well against this Chiefs defense, that's a very, very good sign for things to come, win or lose.
this is a humongous game for the Eagles. Just how big mentally this hurdle is. Because if you're Jalen Hurts and say they make the Super Bowl and they play the Chiefs again, like you would already beat them in the regular season. Whereas if you lost them in the regular season, you kind of have that in the back of your head, like, shit, man, do they have my number? Like I gotta put on. Like there's a lot more
Yeah,
nerves.
there's no lack of motivation. If you're a player on the Eagles, here's my thing. And, I doubt they're watching this, but if they are, here's my little hype up speech for the Eagles. This is the team that beat you in the Super Bowl last year. They're going in thinking they got your number. They're at home. They're favorites. They're feeling good. You guys are underdogs for the first time this season. Hell, the Chiefs are so not worried about this game that Travis Kelce's having his parents meet his girlfriends at this game in the box. Taylor Swift, a Philadelphia girl. They're not even focused on you guys. So you want to go out there and punch him in the fucking mouth? This is the time to do it. And maybe it would be the best thing for Kansas City to get punched in the mouth and kind of refocus for this late season push as well. Because again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but at a certain point, all the off the field stuff, it, I'd be shocked if it didn't make you slip up at some point, whether it's Monday versus the Eagles, week 15 versus who knows. And worst comes to worst, man, in the playoffs, you start getting cameras on Taylor Swift and it never hits you. It could always hit you. Maybe Lamar and the Ravens come into Arrowhead and primetime slot. I don't know. It's something I'd be worried about. Before we hop into the best bets, be sure you subscribe to the channel. If you made it this far, I mean, you're nearly like an hour into the pod. You must have been liking it. What has kept us powered? The coffee of gods. Go check them out. Kept us going for this pod. In terms of best bets, man, last week was a week. Nolan 17-13. Myself 9-19-2 now. Had that push on the Chargers +3. So I did do the math, by the way. Despite it looking a little wonky, it was correct.
Nice.
Because after week 10, it was very easy to go 30-30. Yep. Keep it moving. So Nolan, let's hear those best bets, all three of them.
All right, man. So first one, I mentioned this first. I think the Cleveland Browns, they get the dub. They're -1. So I mean, I think that should be Cleveland right there. Give me that. Second bet for me. This one was a little bit tough. I was trying to find a decent line, but I think I'm gonna roll with them. I think they gotta win this game. I'm gonna take the Chargers -3 against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay.
I'm for anybody that's new, I'm not shaking my head because I don't think it could happen. I'm shaking my head because I had sworn off betting the Chargers as favorites. Because it's just
It's a slippery slope,
yeah,
but we're gonna roll with it. And Herbert and my man, I don't even know what is his name, the coach.
Staley.
Yeah, hopefully that guy, gets it done for his sake.
Put
So give me
on.
that Chargers -3, and last but not least, of course, I'm going with the Birds +2.5. I think they'll win, but +2.5, I think is safe enough, especially because a lot of the lines this week I think are super tight, and just I think they could go either way, and I just really don't trust that much. So I'm gonna roll with the Birds there +2.5.
Yeah, I think Vegas is very sharp this week. I agree with you there. Okay, my first game here. A lot of debating. I went Texans -4.5. I think the Cardinals saw what they needed to see out of Kyler Murray and don't want to win too many games now. Because I do think ultimately if they could swap Kyler for Caleb, they'd do it in a heartbeat, especially in terms of contract situations. And Carolina doesn't own their pick. So again, that team will have motivation later in the season to kind of get the Bears out of that number one spot. Houston, they smell blood in the water, especially with Jacksonville's loss last week. Got to keep piling up wins. Houston to cover -4.5 at home. Cowboys -10.5 over the Panthers. I just, again, Dallas beats up on bad teams. And how does Dallas win, man? They win by blowing you out on pick sixes. What's Bryce Young's problem been? That guy throws picks, man. I just, yeah, if you think Dallas is going to win the game, you probably think they're going to win by 10 or more points, right? So that's just what they've been doing. So I'm going to take them there. And lastly, I'm going to take the Lions to cover -7.5.
No points.
I think the Lions are a great team at home. I think again, we're at that point in the season where great teams got to put their foot on the gas, and these teams want to cement themselves as great teams going into the playoffs. So I got three favorites there: Houston -4.5, Dallas -10.5, the Lions -7.5. Nolan's got the Browns -1, the Chargers -3, and the Eagles +2.5. Eagles only underdog picked this week.
All the dogs.
For all the dogs. Make sure to drop all your selections in the comment section. We'll be up here tomorrow, talk a little basketball. Definitely a lot going on there. Chicago Bulls blow up happening. Tyrese Maxey, MVP. I don't know. Maybe. But we'll talk about it there. And then, of course, we'll be back up here Tuesday to talk some NFL football. Until next time, catch you guys later. Peace.